It's the same thing he did with King Charles a couple months ago when he let it be known through a source, wink, friend, wink, that, you know, he would be happy to accept an invitation to Sandringham. But of course, he would only go if his wife and kids were there, and that.
Oh, yeah, and if there's full security paid for by people like me.
And if he knew who else was going to be there.
King Charles hasn't seen or spoken to his son Harry for over a year, and according to a royal expert, Charles is quietly punishing Prince Harry over the fallout with the royal family. Charles will now only communicate with his son through palace advisors. It comes after Harry snubbed the King's offer of staying with him at Balmoral to mark the first anniversary of the Queen's death. Charles is reportedly open to a reconciliation with his younger son, but he is still unhappy with Harry for his betrayal.
Prince William plans on stripping both Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles once he becomes king.
So apparently, Boeing, which has been a major sponsor of the Invictus Games in Canada, has pulled out. And they're not going to be sponsoring the next event here in the UK in Birmingham next year in 2027.
Royal stories rarely disappear for long. Just when it seems the latest chapter has settled down, another report surfaces that gets people asking whether the distance between Prince Harry and King Charles has become even greater than anyone realised. This time, the discussion centres on a claim that, if accurate, may explain why conversations about trust, money and family continue to follow the royal family wherever they go. According to recent reports and ongoing royal commentary, an extraordinary request is said to have reached King Charles through unofficial channels. It has not been confirmed by Buckingham Palace or Prince Harry, so it should be treated as speculation rather than fact. Even so, the claim has sparked widespread discussion because many observers believe it fits into a much larger pattern that has been developing over the past several years. The reported figure is what immediately grabbed attention. Royal commentators have suggested that a charitable contribution worth around $10 million was allegedly discussed. On the surface, such a donation would support causes that Prince Harry has publicly championed for years. But some analysts argue that the story is about much more than charity. They believe the reported request has raised questions about finances, public image, and the current relationship between father and son.
Harry's wish list, like, oh God, maybe Catherine can get through to my brother. Catherine, can you do this? And doing it through sources, friends, whatnot. I call baloney on it. It's just really Harry stamping his feet and playing wish list again. It's absolutely obnoxious.
So I think he is heartbroken about the way that things have gone with his second son. I think now, because of all the drama and chaos that they've been causing, Meghan and Harry have been causing Charles, especially while he was battling with cancer, I think this is sort of end game now. You know, when you see in his speeches, even just recently, he only ever references William and Catherine.
Commentators who closely follow royal affairs have pointed out that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped away from official royal duties with the goal of building an independent future. Since then, the couple has launched media projects, signed major business deals, and pursued several commercial ventures. Even with those opportunities, reports about their financial situation have continued to attract attention, leading some royal watchers to wonder whether maintaining that lifestyle has become more challenging than originally expected. Those discussions remain speculative, but they continue to generate headlines. If the reports surrounding this latest request are accurate, several commentators believe King Charles may have been caught completely off guard.
As soon as he finds that out, he breaks his father's heart by saying, "See your grandchildren after all." What a despicably cruel thing to do to the kid.
But Harry continues to show us that he's not evolved, he's not matured, and that he remains a very bitter, vengeful, and paranoid individual.
The whole thing's full of hypocrisy since the moment he left on the Freedom Flight. You know, that was the worst thing. Freedom Flight. My goodness me. And then the privacy issue, what he does with the children, you know, these secret the shots from the back view and all this stuff. But we must protect juniors and children's privacy on social media. Yet they're using them as a vehicle and always seems to be as a counterpoint to what the royal family have done.
Rather than describing him as openly upset, many accounts suggest his reaction was one of surprise, with some even claiming he was left struggling to respond. Whether that description is entirely accurate is impossible to verify, but it has certainly added another layer to the ongoing conversation surrounding the family's strained relationship. What makes this story stand out is not simply the reported amount of money, it is the broader picture that many royal observers believe it represents. Over the past few years, there have been repeated reports of disagreements over financial support, security arrangements, public statements, and differing expectations about each family member's role. Every new claim is viewed through that existing history, making even unconfirmed reports spread remarkably quickly. That is why this latest story has gained so much attention despite the lack of official confirmation. Many commentators argue that it reflects the complicated dynamic that has existed between Prince Harry and the royal family ever since his departure from royal duties. Others disagree entirely and believe too much is being read into anonymous reports. Until verified information emerges, both perspectives remain part of the wider public discussion.
Harry is the worst of the worst because, along with his wife, they are opportunists. They are there to make themselves appear as if they are these high and mighty good leaders out to do the great things for the people. But behind the scenes of all of that, they are self-serving, they are making egotistical, wanting to paint a narrative that they are doing something that is completely false to the reality.
Now, Prince Harry is reportedly very sad that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are missing out on life with the rest of their family, and that the extensive family network that their cousins are enjoying, while his children aren't. I don't know what this spoiled brat expects. What did he expect when he uprooted his family and went to live in Montecito, and constantly slams the royal family? I don't think he realizes how daft he really is. And I mean, he is very daft. If you've read Spare, the guy is like low IQ. Like, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Whether the reported $10 million figure ultimately proves accurate or not, the conversation has once again highlighted the same questions that continue to follow this family. Can trust truly be rebuilt after years of public disagreements? Has the gap between father and son grown too wide to close? And if reports like these continue to surface, what do they reveal about the challenges still facing one of the world's most closely watched families? One reason this latest report has attracted so much attention is that many royal commentators believe it echoes issues that have surfaced repeatedly over the last several years. Whether the current claim is accurate or not, some observers argue that it follows a pattern they say has become increasingly familiar whenever discussions turn to Prince Harry's relationship with King Charles. Since stepping back from royal duties, Prince Harry has publicly spoken about wanting to repair family relationships. At the same time, various media reports have suggested that conversations between the two sides have often been complicated by practical concerns and disagreements. While the full details of those private discussions remain unknown, royal analysts have frequently pointed to recurring disputes involving security, family visits, and the conditions surrounding possible meetings. According to several commentators, many reported attempts at reconnecting have appeared to involve more than a simple invitation. Stories have often included discussions about security arrangements, travel plans, scheduling, and other expectations before any meeting could move forward. Supporters argue those requests are understandable given Harry's circumstances, while critics believe they have made rebuilding trust far more difficult. That difference in perspective is exactly why stories like this continue to divide opinion. Some people see a son trying to protect his family while reopening communication with his father. Others believe the reported negotiations create the impression that every step toward reconciliation comes with additional expectations attached.
The Sun reporting that Harry wants to take Archie and Lily to Princess Diana's grave during the visit. Diana buried on a private island at Althorpe. And while Harry has visited over the years and reportedly brought Meghan there, in 2022, the children have never been. It's obviously an emotional headline, Rupert, but it's also another reminder that nearly every Sussex story seems to blend a deeply personal moment with a very public rollout. Whether that visit actually happens, we don't know. we should have never heard about it before it happened. And we're hearing about it because they wanted us to. And these kids are so small, like they're not going to understand what's going on. It's too soon to introduce them to something so morbid, in my opinion.
My understanding is that the king is absolutely resolute that it's nothing to do with him. He's not going to interfere. He's never interfered. He's left it up to Ravik. And let's remember, most of the members of Ravik are members of the government.
Because none of these private conversations have been publicly confirmed, it remains impossible to know exactly how each discussion unfolded behind closed doors. Even so, many royal watchers say perception matters just as much as reality. When reports repeatedly describe negotiations surrounding family meetings, the public naturally begins looking for similar patterns whenever another story emerges. That may help explain why the latest claims spread so quickly, even without official confirmation from either side. Some royal commentators have also questioned whether public reconciliation and private negotiations have become increasingly intertwined. They argue that every new report is now viewed through the lens of previous disagreements, making it difficult for either side to change the public narrative. Whether fair or not, years of highly public family tensions have left many people interpreting new developments based on what has happened before, rather than what can actually be verified. Another reason this discussion continues to gain attention is the issue of trust. Rebuilding any damaged relationship usually depends on open communication and confidence that both sides are working toward the same goal. Several commentators have suggested that repeated public disputes and media interviews have made that process especially difficult within the royal family, regardless of who is ultimately responsible. From that perspective, the reported financial request has become part of a much broader conversation. Rather than focusing only on the alleged amount involved, many analysts see it as another example of how every interaction between Prince Harry and King Charles is now examined for hidden meaning. Even relatively small developments can quickly become major headlines because the relationship has been under such intense public scrutiny for years.
And as much as it's wonderful to be a grandfather, which I can attest to, I can also tell you that if your grandson, if your own son is causing you problems, you're not going to import even more problems. And Harry's presence in Britain is always a problem. That's the issue. Harry and Meghan and Harry are dynamite together if they'd be in Britain.
Is the height of insanity. The madman, and I really do mean that, his own security report, which he had previously submitted to the government to try and get you, to try and get me, British taxpayers, to spend millions and millions of pounds a year to ensure that he has armed guards wherever he goes in the...
Whether these reports accurately reflect private conversations remains unknown. However, one thing is difficult to ignore. Nearly every story involving father and son now sparks fresh debate about reconciliation, trust, and whether genuine progress is still possible. Until either side chooses to speak openly about those discussions, much of the public conversation will continue to rely on reports, commentary, and informed speculation instead of confirmed facts. The discussion also raises another question that many royal commentators have been asking for quite some time. If rebuilding family relationships is truly the priority, why do so many reported developments seem to become public topics before any lasting progress is visible behind the scenes? No one outside the family knows exactly how private conversations unfold, but the repeated appearance of these stories has fueled ongoing speculation. Some analysts believe information may simply be finding its way into the media through people familiar with royal affairs. Others suggest that certain stories could be circulating to gauge public reaction before anything official happens. There is no confirmed evidence proving either explanation, but both possibilities have been widely debated whenever new reports involving the royal family emerge. Whatever the reason, each new claim adds another layer to an already complicated relationship. Royal advisors are widely believed to keep careful records of previous events, public statements, and past disagreements. Because of that, commentators often argue that every reported conversation is viewed in the context of everything that came before it, rather than as a completely fresh start. That history matters because trust, once damaged, can take years to rebuild. Several royal experts have pointed out that the relationship between Prince Harry and King Charles has been shaped by years of public interviews, memoirs, documentaries, and media coverage. Whether people agree with Harry's decisions or not, those events have created an environment where even routine family discussions are now analysed from every possible angle.
And I don't think the king is that desperate to meet Archie and Lily, but that's what Harry would like to believe. I mean, the king has got other concerns. Harry and Meghan and Harry are dynamite together if they'd be in Britain. So, this is now Harry trying to play the last roll of the dice.
As we well know, gruesome twosome, that couple are capable of really behaving in a deplorable manner. They do it time and time again. We all know what we're talking about. But if this turns out to be the truth, they've gone too far.
The financial side of the story has also become a major talking point. Over the last few years, there has been constant public interest in Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's business ventures, partnerships, and long-term financial position. Since neither of them publishes detailed financial information, much of the discussion comes from estimates, media reports, and industry analysis, rather than confirmed figures. Some commentators believe the couple continues to enjoy considerable financial resources, while others argue that maintaining a high-profile lifestyle, running charitable initiatives, security expenses, and managing multiple business projects could place significant demands on those resources over time. Without access to their private finances, those claims remain speculative, but they continue to be discussed across royal coverage. That uncertainty is one reason the reported $10 million figure has received so much attention. If the claim is accurate, many observers naturally ask where funding on that scale would realistically come from. Others caution that the entire story may be based on unverified reports and should not be treated as established fact. Until reliable confirmation appears, the exact details remain unknown. Royal commentators have also noted that several of the couple's major commercial projects have changed considerably over the past few years. Some partnerships have concluded, others have evolved, and future plans remain the subject of ongoing media speculation. Those developments have only encouraged further debate about what their long-term financial outlook may actually be.
But you see, he's created something for himself. So he's punished himself, so he's got a reason to moan. I mean, it is absolutely shocking. He's a prince, he's got masses of money, he's got a big house. Okay, he has a wife who tells him what to do all the time, but that was his choice.
Meghan was growing up. She dreamed of Hollywood stardom and being a big person on a big stage. When Harry was growing up, he dreamed of being anonymous and not recognised ever he goes. The reality is, and it's painful to watch it from someone that's dealt with Harry since he was a teenager. Meghan is living her dream. Harry is living his nightmare.
Viewed together, these reports create a broader picture that continues to divide opinion. Some see a family attempting to navigate extraordinarily difficult personal circumstances under constant public scrutiny. Others believe recurring financial stories point to deeper issues that have yet to be resolved. Whatever the reality may be behind closed doors, one thing is certain: every new report involving Prince Harry and King Charles quickly becomes part of a much larger conversation about trust, reconciliation, and the future of one of the world's most closely followed families. Another reason this story has generated so much discussion is because of the contrast many commentators believe it highlights. Ever since Prince Harry stepped away from royal duties, much of his public message has focused on building a life outside the monarchy and creating a future on his own terms. That decision was presented as a move toward greater independence, making any report that appears to reconnect financial questions with the royal family especially noteworthy. If the latest claims are accurate, some royal observers argue that they create an interesting contradiction. They question whether someone determined to establish complete independence would eventually look back toward the same institution they chose to leave. Others disagree, pointing out that family relationships are rarely simple, and that asking relatives for support, if it happened at all, would not automatically erase years of building a separate life. Until more information is confirmed, both viewpoints remain matters of opinion. The reported amount has also become a major part of the conversation. $10 million is an extraordinary figure by almost any standard, and several royal commentators have noted that donations on that scale are more commonly associated with established charitable organisations, large foundations, or long-term fundraising campaigns than with a single private individual. That observation has led many people to question how realistic the reported request actually is. Because of that, attention has shifted beyond the number itself and toward what the story might represent. If there is any truth behind the reports, some analysts believe the issue is less about a charitable donation and more about the continuing relationship between Prince Harry and King Charles. Others caution that the entire narrative could be based on incomplete or inaccurate information circulating through unofficial sources. Without confirmation, it remains important to separate verified facts from ongoing speculation.
When they said Invictus is a scam, the veterans are being used for PR, privately funded faux trips with lavish accommodations and Meghan's merchandising schemes. That's not how charities work. Royal YouTube sensation, according to Taz, added, "This is the very reason why everyone who originally worked on and set up Invictus no longer works there. Since leaving the royal fold, the foundation has become a cash cow for Harry and Meghan, and no doubt some others who are involved. It's all bubbling to the surface."
At the same time, many people who closely follow the royal family have often described King Charles as someone who values family connections despite years of public challenges. Throughout his reign and even before becoming king, he has frequently spoken about the importance of family, tradition, and maintaining relationships whenever possible. Those public positions have led some commentators to believe he would naturally hope for better relations with both of his sons, even after years of highly public disagreements. That possibility is one reason stories like this resonate with so many people. Beyond headlines about money or royal protocol, many see a father and son relationship that has become increasingly difficult to repair under constant public attention. Every reported disagreement, interview, or new claim is immediately interpreted as another sign of either progress or further distance between the two sides. Several royal experts have also suggested that King Charles has gradually changed the way he handles sensitive family matters. Rather than responding personally to every public controversy, reports indicate that institutional processes and advisors now play a much larger role in decisions involving the royal family. Supporters believe that approach helps maintain consistency, while critics argue it can make the monarchy appear distant. Either way, commentators widely agree that the handling of these issues has evolved in recent years. If the latest reports are accurate, some observers believe they may reflect a relationship that has reached a particularly delicate stage. Instead of another routine disagreement, they see a situation where years of unresolved issues have made every new conversation significantly more complicated than it once was. Whether those reports ultimately prove true or not, they once again highlight how every development involving Prince Harry and King Charles quickly becomes the subject of intense public debate, with each side interpreting the same events in very different ways. One of the biggest reasons this report has sparked so much conversation is the person at the centre of it. King Charles has spent virtually his entire life in the public eye, facing decades of scrutiny, family disagreements, and constant media attention. Throughout those years, he has built a reputation for remaining composed, even during some of the monarchy's most challenging moments. That is why claims suggesting he was left genuinely surprised by this reported request have attracted so much attention among royal observers. Of course, there is no official confirmation describing how the king reacted behind closed doors. However, several commentators have suggested that if the reports are accurate, the alleged request may have carried significance beyond the financial figure itself. They argue that timing, context, and the family's long history could have made the situation far more emotional than the number alone would suggest.
I don't mean this in a cruel way, but the king doesn't miss Prince Harry. The king does not recognize this. The king is not going to bend over backwards because he doesn't even know who this new person is that has developed over the last few years, capable of writing such a hateful...
Many royal experts also believe the relationship between King Charles and Prince Harry has reached a point where every interaction carries years of unresolved history. When trust has been tested repeatedly, even ordinary conversations can take on far greater meaning. Whether those relationships are improving or becoming more distant is something only the family truly knows. But public interest has remained remarkably high because each new report is viewed as another chapter in an ongoing story. Another question raised by commentators is whether both sides fully understand how their actions are perceived by the other. Public statements, interviews, and media coverage have shaped opinions for years, making it increasingly difficult to separate genuine attempts at reconciliation from the public narrative surrounding them. Some analysts believe that disconnect has become one of the biggest obstacles to repairing family relationships. There has also been continued discussion about who influences major decisions within the Sussex household. Various commentators have offered different theories over the years, but none of those private conversations have been confirmed publicly. Because of that, it is impossible to know how decisions are ultimately made or who contributes most to them. What can be observed, however, is that almost every major move involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle quickly becomes the subject of widespread debate, with supporters and critics often reaching completely different conclusions. Some royal observers believe meaningful reconciliation is unlikely to come from symbolic gestures alone. Instead, they argue that rebuilding trust usually depends on consistent private conversations, patience, and a willingness from everyone involved to move beyond past disagreements.
Is now accusing Buckingham Palace, wait for it, of sabotage, of wanting to kill him because they made clear he has been offered totally safe accommodation in the totally safe Buckingham Palace. But it's not his father. Of course, it's not King Charles directly, but it's his courtiers who are all part of this sabotage plan, and they want Harry dead. Not only that, but he's the new Salman.
Others believe the family's differences may simply be too deep to resolve anytime soon. Either way, most agree there is no quick solution to years of highly public conflict. That broader issue may ultimately be more important than the reported financial request itself. Even if the latest claims never receive official confirmation, they have once again shifted attention toward the larger question of whether Prince Harry and King Charles can ever rebuild the close relationship they once shared. For many people following the royal family, that remains the real story beneath the headlines. Royal commentators have also reflected on how much Prince Harry's public image has evolved over the years. Earlier in his royal career, he was frequently recognised for his work supporting military veterans and charitable organisations, earning praise from many members of the public. Since stepping away from royal duties, opinions have become far more divided, with supporters applauding his willingness to chart his own path while critics question some of the choices made along the way. Whether those changing perceptions are fair or not depends largely on who you ask. What is clear, however, is that every new report involving Prince Harry now attracts enormous attention because it is viewed through the lens of everything that has happened over the past several years. Until the family chooses to address these issues directly, much of the discussion will likely continue to be shaped by commentary, media reports, and informed speculation rather than confirmed facts. Whether this latest report is accurate or not, many royal commentators believe it reflects a much larger issue that has been building for years. They argue that repairing a fractured family relationship is rarely about one conversation or one dramatic gesture. Instead, it usually depends on rebuilding trust over time, something that cannot happen overnight. Some observers believe the biggest challenge is no longer money or royal protocol, but perception.
Is to show the king up very badly, as keeping on trying, and the poor little baby is crying. For goodness sake, he's a big man and he knows what to do, and it just makes people feel sorry for him. It's this sort of poor Harry day. I mean, take no notice.
Every new report involving Prince Harry and the royal family is now viewed through the lens of past disagreements, public interviews, and years of intense media attention. As a result, even unconfirmed stories quickly gain momentum because people naturally compare them with what has happened before. Commentators have also suggested that repeated reports of negotiations and conditions, whether accurate or not, have influenced how the public interprets new developments. Others disagree, arguing that too much weight is placed on anonymous sources and media speculation. Until more information is confirmed, those competing views are likely to continue. Prince William's role has also been part of the wider discussion. Several royal experts believe he has consistently favoured clear boundaries when it comes to handling family matters, while King Charles has often been viewed as taking a more measured approach. If the latest reports contain any truth, some commentators believe they could further strengthen the argument for maintaining those boundaries going forward. Perhaps the most interesting question is not whether the reported figure was ever discussed, but why so many people found the story believable in the first place. That reaction says just as much about years of public family tensions as it does about this specific claim. After countless headlines, interviews, documentaries, and public disagreements, many people have already formed strong opinions about where these relationships stand. Of course, it's important to remember that none of the reported details surrounding this alleged request have been officially confirmed. For now, much of the discussion remains based on media reports, anonymous sources, and commentary from royal observers rather than verified facts. Still, one thing is clear. As long as questions remain about the relationship between Prince Harry and the royal family, stories like this will continue to capture worldwide attention. Whether they ultimately prove true or not, they keep reigniting the same debate. Can this family ever move beyond the conflicts of recent years, or has too much happened for genuine reconciliation to become a reality? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more celebrity news and royal updates, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the next video on your screen for more stories making headlines. We'll see you in the next one.